Good evening again, everyone, and welcome. We are so excited to have you all here at the annual ReWA Gala. Thank you for being here. And one of the traditions of the ReWA Gala is the fashion show, when we get to see traditional, amazing fashion from cultures around the world. And so this evening, as we begin in this different space, we're going to do it slightly differently, but we are so excited because many of our staff members have come together to welcome all of you in many of the languages in which we work with our clients. And you'll see that some of them are wearing traditional fashion as well. So on behalf of ReWA, welcome.
Salam, شمي تيجست نجاش بحال انقع نبت ريوا قال بسلام مسأخون أقني اللي نسكن.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا بكم في منظمة ريوا وقالها. إني سعيدة برؤيتكم.
မင်္ဂလာပါကျွန်တော် Clifford ပါကျွန်တော်တို့ ReWA ရဲ့ Gala နဲ့လှိုက်လေးလေးကြိုဆိုပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
哎，很高兴见到你啊！来参加我们的年度募捐活动，真的很感谢你的支持，谢谢。
สบายดีคอยซื้อคารินขอเชิญทุกคนเข้ามาฉลองงานกุศลของ ReWA ขอบใจหลาย
Hello, my name is Chrisanne. Thank you so much for being here tonight at ReWA's Gala. We're so happy to see you.
Salam, ine Jerusalem masala balalo انقواندنا متاچو.
سلام، اسم من فرشته است. خیلی خوشحال شدم که اومدید.
Mabuhay, maligayang pagbati po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat po.
Xin chào quý vị, tên tôi là Minh Hiền. Rất hoan nghênh quý vị đến với ReWA Gala. Xin cảm ơn.
Welcome. Thank you so much to all of those amazing welcomes, and to all of you again, welcome. And I do want to just remind you that we have a chat that is underway right now. So if you click on the chat right in the center of your navigation window, just down at the bottom, right below, you will be able to join us in our general chat, and many people are there. And it's a great place where you can cheer and you can applaud and you can show your gratitude to so many exciting people like those members of our team that you just got to meet, and more who are coming. So I encourage you to find the chat and please use it to express your joy and appreciation throughout this event. I also just want to remind everyone that we are here to raise important funds for ReWA. And at any point, you can make a donation on the ReWA homepage, and there is going to be a link that we're going to provide to you. You'll see it in the chat as well. And if you'd like to make a donation, we would be so grateful. Before anything else, we have to thank our amazing sponsors. Sponsors, without your ongoing support, we could not be here this evening. And particularly to our gold level sponsor, would you give them a huge virtual round of applause in the chat? To JP Morgan Chase, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And here is a message from our gold level sponsor, JP Morgan Chase.
At JP Morgan Chase, we have a long-standing belief that making the economy work for everyone is both an obligation and a business imperative. We are collaborating across the board with private, public, and nonprofit sectors to open doors to opportunity and to ensure a more inclusive path toward economic success for all communities. We proudly support ReWA and celebrate its positive impact on our Seattle community. Thank you.
Thank you again, JP Morgan Chase. Please give them a huge round of applause in the chat. And also to our silver sponsors, we are so grateful to KeyBank, to Vulcan Inc., and Amazon. Thank you, top silver sponsors. We are so grateful. Please keep shouting them out. And here is a message from one of our silver sponsors, KeyBank.
As KeyBank Community Development Lending and Investment Leader, I've had the opportunity to work with many fantastic organizations, and ReWA is one that is really near and dear to my heart. With 4 immigrant grandparents, I know firsthand how vital the work is that they do for us, which is why I sit on their board. I'm very proud of the support KeyBank has offered ReWA through the years, and I'm honored to be here with you today.
Thank you so much, KeyBank, and keep the applause going in the chat for our top bronze sponsors, the Gates Foundation and King County Housing Authority, Sprague Israel Giles, Seattle Children's Hospital, Sheng Yen Liu Foundation, the Low Income Housing Institute, and Wong Fleming. Thank you to all of you. And here's a message from one of our bronze sponsors, the King County Housing Authority. Thank you.
At King County Housing Authority, we are the largest provider of affordable housing in Washington State, which means that we work with the most vulnerable people in our community. As you know, when someone is struggling with things like paying their bills, paying rent, making car payments, staying employed during this unemployment crisis, it can be that much more difficult when you are not a native English speaker. And that is where ReWA has been such a critical partner for us. They have been able to connect with the residents that we serve and help them stay employed and get the healthcare that they need during this crisis and so much more. So thank you so much for helping us achieve our mission of transforming lives through housing.
Thank you, King County Housing Authority. And again, for all of our sponsors, thank you so very, very much for your ongoing support. And you can see sponsors that you are receiving so many accolades and love in the chat. And as you are all in the chat and celebrating ReWA this evening, I want to ask you right now, in honor of ReWA, in honor of this annual gala, to find the butterfly emoji. Put the butterfly emoji into the chat in honor of ReWA, because of course the butterfly is our logo. Now, there isn't a gold butterfly here in Remo, but there is a beautiful blue butterfly. So if you can find the blue butterfly and fill up the chat with that blue butterfly in honor of our gathering tonight, we would be thrilled. And while you are finding that blue butterfly, I just want to remind everyone that we are here to celebrate. We are here to hear inspiring words from a couple of people who are coming up. And we are also here to raise important resources so that ReWA can continue its work. And particularly at this time when we are welcoming more refugees than ever, your generosity, your support would be so, so gratefully received. And you can make a donation at any time to ReWA this evening or anytime on our webpage. And we're going to put the link in the chat. In and amongst the blue butterflies is the link to make a donation right on our website. So please consider making any donation that makes sense for you. And if as we're going through this evening, you have made a donation and then you feel inspired to make another donation, well, you're allowed to do it more than once. That's totally fine. So as I mentioned, we have two keynote speakers this evening, and it is my great privilege to get to welcome our first keynote speaker. Not only is he the state senator representing the 34th district, he also happens to be a former Seattle University classmate of mine. Go Red Hawks. Would you please put your hands together for Senator Joe Nguyen. Senator Nguyen, so nice to see you. Welcome.
Welcome, and thank you for the honor of being part of the ReWA annual gala. I'm Joe Nguyen, and I serve as the state senator from the 34th legislative district. I'm the first Vietnamese state senator in the history of Washington state. And what's interesting is that I've really only been involved in politics for about 6 years. And before this, I hadn't worked in the legislature, nor had I ran for office, but I got involved because we needed leaders who represented the values and reflected the diversity of the people in this great state. People willing to fight for working families and communities that have been on the margins. And like many in this virtual room, my family arrived in the United States as refugees fleeing a war-torn Vietnam. My father fought with the US Navy and was evacuated out while Saigon fell. And years later, my mother, sister, and about 20 other family members got on a tiny raft and in the middle of the night fled out into the open ocean. And I saw a quote that encapsulated what they must have felt during that time. No one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. No one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. And we were fortunate that Washington had leaders who welcomed immigrants, and we settled in White Center because of access to public housing. And this story might sound familiar to people here at this event, The names and dates might be a little different, but the story is the same for thousands of families who've made the exact same journey. And knowing the sacrifices my mother made to give us an opportunity is why I serve. I remember seeing how hard she worked and how much she cared for us. But I'll be honest, if I had listened to her early on, I don't know if I'd be a senator today. And as an Asian person, we were told that there are a few professions that were acceptable: doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. My brother is a doctor, my sister is an engineer, and my other sister is an IT consultant. So I'm the black sheep of the family. You know, I got into politics. It might sound ridiculous, but looking back, I understand her fear. Her experience during the war and growing up very poor and struggling here in the United States, especially after my father was paralyzed in a car accident, shaped that view. And too often, when we don't have examples of success, we don't believe it is possible for us to succeed in certain spaces. It was, and it still is, so rare to see Asians in leadership, let alone Vietnamese people, that even my own mother was worried about me choosing such a risky path. But it's okay now. She's very proud and very supportive of me being a senator. So when I look back at how I grew up, I did notice trends. And there were many times that people like us were overlooked. I was a janitor growing up in high school and relied on social services like TANF. And even while I was student body president at Seattle University, I would wash dishes at night to help pay for tuition. Nobody told me I would amount to much, but I tried anyway. And when I won, it was so rare to see a young Vietnamese person at the legislature that for the first month, people thought that I was staff. I was asked if I was Senator Hasagawa's assistant. And first off, I had to remind them that I was a senator. And second, why was I the assistant for the only other Asian legislator? I could have been anybody's assistant. But we quickly proved that not only did we belong there, we would thrive there as well. I helped negotiate the budget. I ran several bills. I served in leadership roles. But the point really is that we are more powerful than even we could expect. Our experiences shaped our values. We're used to working twice as hard for half as much. And now that we're in these halls at the table with the power to make laws, it is overwhelmingly clear that not only do we belong here, we should have been here the entire time. Representation does matter, especially now, and the work you are doing here is incredibly important. And despite the challenges we're facing today, I am full of hope because I'm seeing more people like us who are now part of the process. We're used to overcoming adversity. We know we are made better when we go forward together. And that is exactly what the Refugee Women's Alliance does. You make us better together. And today we take the time to celebrate with a great organization. But after we celebrate, I'm counting on all of you to help lift and continually support our communities. So thank you so much for being here and thank you for the time.
Thank you again, Senator Nguyen, for your inspiring words, for all of your work and leadership. We are so grateful, and for coming to speak with us this evening. Thank you. I want to remind everyone that we are here also to raise funds for ReWA, as I know I've mentioned in the past, and that you can do that on our website. And yes, again, I'm going to remind you that we're going to put the link where you can easily find it because we don't want to make it difficult. If you can help us with any gift, we would be so incredibly grateful. And just to give you a sense of what these dollars can mean, if you could help us with $250, that would mean that a single mom and her child or children would have 3 days of emergency shelter instead of being put on a wait list. Or $500 could pay for the first and last month's rent for transitional housing for a DV survivor, for a domestic violence survivor. $750 would be 3 months of weekly case management support to help a newly arrived family sign up for English and job training classes and learn how to ride public transit or get their driver's license and make long-term plans to become independent. So if you're able to help us at any of those levels or any other amount, we would be so incredibly grateful, and know that your contributions go so far in welcoming and paving the way for new members of our community to find their place in our community. I am so honored now to get to introduce the second of our two keynote speakers. And this is a person with very many accomplishments and currently, and I think always, quite a lot of work on her plate. She is an Afghan-American Harvard Law graduate who left her legal career to pursue service. She is a well-known community activist, interfaith leader, and justice advocate, a former recipient of the Humanitarian Leadership Award from the International Rescue Committee, among many other honors. She is currently helping to coordinate efforts to respond to the incoming Afghan refugees into our community. Please give a huge virtual welcome in our chat to Anila Afzeli. Anila, welcome. It is such an honor to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so very much, Ian. Hello, salams, shalom. It is an honor to be a speaker at the annual gala of the Refugee Women's Alliance. My name is Anila Afzeli, and I'm an Afghan-American recovering attorney, as I call myself. I left my legal career in 2013 after a spiritual transformation that inspired me to pursue service and knowledge, two things my faith emphasizes. Since then, I've been blessed to work on the front lines of grassroots activism, community-based service, and justice advocacy, including in support of immigrants and refugees. I'm the executive director of the American Muslim Empowerment Network at the Muslim Association of Puget Sound, and I also serve on the steering committee of the Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network and the boards of the Faith Action Network and Washington for Black Lives, among other roles. And I personally know the refugee story and immigrant experience because my family and I have lived through them. I was 2 years old when my parents risked everything to flee the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan and achieve a better future for their children. We lived as refugees in Germany before immigrating to the United States in 1983 to join my dad's side of the family living in California. Like millions of refugees and immigrants across our nation, my family worked extremely hard and struggled to survive and succeed, to learn a new language, culture, and customs, and to start from the bottom more than once. We did everything we could, from menial labor to side hustles to opening 3 family businesses. I still remember navigating and completing legal paperwork for our first family video store when I was 12 years old. The hard work of my parents and older siblings paved the way for me to be the first in my family to attend and graduate from college, but fortunately not the last. And I was extremely blessed to continue on to Harvard Law School. So I personally know the critical role that education, along with employment opportunities and integration support, plays in allowing incoming families to be set up for success and possibly live the American dream. As an Afghan American with family needing to evacuate Kabul due to the danger they face, I also personally know the trauma, turmoil, and tragedy that's unfolded in Afghanistan and the difficult and devastating process and experience of Afghans having to flee persecution. Along with the voices of my cousins and aunts in Afghanistan, I also have a picture of my cousin's 2 beautiful daughters, aged 2 and 6, in matching shirts that state, "I'm Supergirl," and I'm sure they are. But with the hasty and unprepared withdrawal by the United States from Afghanistan, a superpower left these super girls and 38 million others in harm's way. And it has been an emotional roller coaster for so many trying to evacuate and so many of us trying to save them. With the influx of incoming Afghan families who have had to flee danger, it is especially critical at this moment for us all to step up as a community to support frontline work of organizations like ReWA for several reasons. The US resettlement program was severely curtailed under the Trump administration and is now being rebuilt under tremendous pressure. and it's being tested in unprecedented ways. The resettlement agencies alone simply cannot serve all the needs of the incoming families, especially given how suddenly many Afghans have had to evacuate and how quickly large numbers are arriving. We need community-based organizations to step up to fill the gaps and help with needs beyond what the resettlement agencies can offer. And many of the incoming Afghans are people who literally risk their lives, safety, and well-being in order to save Americans and support the US mission in Afghanistan. They were promised safety and refuge. Now it's our time to pay them back by allowing them to successfully start their new lives here as our neighbors. Washington State is also one of the top 5 states to resettle Afghans. And historically, we've had a beautiful tradition of welcoming and integrating refugees and immigrants from various countries. Our state has seen the economic, social, and cultural benefits of doing so. And I hope we see the same with the incoming Afghan families. We are coordinating work between the resettlement agencies and community-based organizations in Washington. I'm specifically partnering with the statewide refugee coordinator, who's the chief of the Office of Refugee and Immigrant Assistance at DSHS, as part of this unique private-public partnership to best serve the incoming families. And ReWA is part of that effort. So while this is a time of crisis, it's also a time of opportunity. Opportunity for our community to step up and live out our values. Opportunity for us to be the superpower for the many Afghan supergirls and superboys. Opportunity for us to fulfill our promise to at least some of the people of Afghanistan, the fortunate few who actually make it here. Opportunity for our state to benefit from the trade, labor, and skills that many incoming Afghans will bring. And let's not forget the opportunity for all of us to enjoy what is arguably the best cuisine in the world, with new Afghan restaurants hopefully opening up soon. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit biased on that. But seriously, if we as a community can support and uplift those who are arriving with nothing but the clothes on their back in many cases, then we can lift us all up. Our communities can improve with better resources for refugees and immigrants, new Americans, people of color, and all communities. And ReWA's mission helps do exactly that. ReWA provides critical social services for immigrants and refugees to allow them to adapt to life here, access educational and employment opportunities, and ensure their success. These services include linguistically literate and culturally competent case management, employment, housing, immigration help, citizenship classes, behavioral health counseling, after-school youth and early learning programs, and more. It's this kind of wraparound service that we need at these times. So thank you in advance for your generosity, support of ReWA, and your willingness to join the movement to welcome our incoming Afghan families, along with all refugees and immigrants in our state. You reflect the best of our values as Americans. This moment is a time that requires all hands on deck. So please step up and be part of those helping hands so we can turn this crisis into an opportunity to do and be better. Let us make Washington State a model for the rest of the nation together with love, gratitude, and solidarity, and best wishes to ReWA for another 35 plus years of success.
Thank you again so much, Miss Afzali. I know you asked me to call you Anila. Thank you so much again, Anila. Thank you also to Senator Joe Wynn, to both of our keynote speakers. Would you all give them a huge virtual round of applause, or you can send them butterflies if you would like. We're so grateful for both of you taking the time to come and speak with us. And as you were hearing them speak, and as we are all here together celebrating ReWA at this annual gala, I wonder if there is one word that encapsulates how you feel about the work that ReWA is doing, about the staff, about the people who are arriving that ReWA is helping to welcome into our community. And if you would put that one word in any language, please, in whatever language that word comes to you, into the chat. We would love to see all of those words that encapsulate what ReWA means to all of us. And as you're doing that, there is one more story that we have the privilege of sharing. So this is a person who arrived to our community and for whom ReWA was one of her first points of contact. Would you please enjoy Medina's story? Here it is.
My name is Medina. I came from Ethiopia. I've been here for 5 years. People like me, immigrant, asali, they get a lot of benefit from ReWA. Joseph introduced me about resource, helping me and give me future hope.
My name is Joseph. I am here at ReWA as Implement Case Manager. I'm original from Ethiopia. I speak Oromo and Amharic. When they arrive here in the US, refugees and immigrants come to us, we have everything. They can use whatever program that we have, like a kind of buffet. In addition to employment and housing and other social services, we offer English and citizenship classes, immigration legal services, youth after school programs, early childhood education, and access to counseling and domestic violence support services. So we are always with them until they are on their feet and self-sufficient.
I got so many friends over there. They are so nice. Teacher Karin, she helped me. Oh, Medina, you need to go college. When I got my green card, I apply right away. My target doing full-time job to build financially and then bring my daughter here, this country.
There are people who has like educational background and they don't know how to access, navigate, and go back to school to be placed in the job that you used to work at back home. I personally placed almost 150 clients in a job. I have a client who has like master's degree, PhD, BA degree, and then they're working as janitor and then like security. ReWA received a grant from Day One Families Fund to help the client who has some higher education with rental and tuition assistance, so they invest in their careers and return to the former profession that they had before.
Before I came USA, I'm an accountant. I worked 10 years.
Working with Medina is a great pleasure for me. I know her from the beginning.
Joseph got for me a job at airport full-time. Airport was very amazing place. I worked 6 months. After I get my paper, Allah helps me. I brought my children. I don't have a house. I go to shelter with my beautiful girl. ReWA helping me for house to get rent. There is so many requirements for rent a house.
But after COVID hit, most of them, they already lost their job. It was hard to apply for unemployment benefit.
When the pandemic happened was I lose my job. Where I'm supposed to go to back again, shelter, impossible. Finally, thanks God, Alhamdulillah, ReWA helped me for my rent. They encourage me, keep continue your class. ReWA is not only helping me financially, they are good for the future as well.
Medina is a person who is confident, energetic, and passionate for her career growth. Being a woman and then being a refugee by itself is kind of a little bit challenging, but her motivation makes her in the level that she is now. We are here to help her. It's giving me satisfaction when I see them in the top.
I just graduated from Renton Technical College accounting specialist. My long-term goals become businesswoman. I want to be a role model for my kids. I want to have my bachelor degree by business administration. That's my goal. I know I will do it.
Thank you, Medina. Wow, thank you for sharing your story. We are so grateful. And I want to remind everyone that Medina's story illustrates why supporting ReWA is so critical. You can help in so many ways with your generosity. And I know many of you have already helped generously this evening in making a contribution right on our website. And again, we're going to put the link where it's easy to find. And we encourage you to please consider a gift this evening. And I'll just, again, to remind you what that can do, what those dollars can do. If you could help us with $1,000, that would provide Orca cards to 10 students. Allow 10 students to have more independence and agency in their new surroundings as they move around and explore their new home. Or $2,500 would provide 6 months of weekly counseling to help a refugee heal from trauma so that they can once again engage with life fully. $5,000 in tuition and rental support allows a client to attend college so that they can learn a new job or recertify in their former profession so that they can earn a living wage. And we do have a very big goal of raising $100,000 as we are all together today. Because to be totally honest, the need is great. This year, you know that we have so much need to support Afghan refugees, for example, who are arriving in the United States. And many of those refugees will come to Seattle and need housing and other services. And with your help, ReWA will be even more ready to help all of those refugees. If you can help us, then we can help to continue mitigate the impact of the pandemic that huge impact of the pandemic on immigrants and our refugee neighbors. That impact has been felt in loss of income, in being boxed out of the job market, much less boxed out of careers. It has resulted in loss of housing and ongoing barriers to medical and legal and other types of services and care. And it increases domestic violence and results in higher need for mental health support. So your generous giving right now to ReWA helps us to support refugees as they overcome all of those obstacles. If you could consider a very big gift of $10,000, that would provide housing subsidies that would prevent homelessness for a single mother and her family while she learns English and has help finding a new job. Any amount, every amount would be so, so welcome. And again, just so that no one wonders, now wait a minute, how is it again that I can help with a large gift of $10,000 or more, or a gift of $50, or really any amount? Click on the link that we are providing in the chat. You'll be taken to our website. You will have the opportunity to select many amounts. You can select them all if you would like. And then fill out the necessary information. And we are so, so, so grateful for all of your generosity. And now I get to introduce one more person who honestly needs no introduction. For the last 8 years, she has been the executive director of ReWA, where she has made sure that ReWA is a key part of important conversations regarding refugees in our state and community. Would you please put a huge virtual applause together for our executive director, Manaz K. Eshetu. Ms. Eshetu, welcome. We are so glad to have you, and what a pleasure it's been to be here this evening.
Thank you, Ian. Good evening. Thank you all for joining us at the ReWA 2021 Annual Gala. Thank you to our speakers, Anil Afzali, Senator Joe Wen, and especially to Medina Adam for sharing their stories of struggle and triumph. And our hats are off to our great sponsors and all of you who support the gala. As you may know, ReWA's founding mother, Mrs. Chidong, was a refugee from Vietnam who wanted to help women and their families learn English and build a better life in the United States. 36 years later, ReWA provides employment, housing, immigration and naturalization services, domestic violence and behavioral health counseling, as well as after-school programs for youth and early learning centers. It is important to remember that when ReWA was founded, empowering women as the key to help entire families was an innovation in social services. Let me just tell you a story that illustrates this. In the 1980s, an Afghan woman called Gala and her husband fled the civil war to Pakistan. When her husband died, suddenly she was left with 4 children to support. Too often, the children of uneducated women have to survive on the street. Their lives are short. But Gulale had finished high school and she believed in herself. With some additional training, she opened a preschool in her home in Peshawar. For almost 20 years, She educated generations of children. Eventually, she and her family immigrated to the United Kingdom and the United States. She had the joy of seeing her children complete degrees in higher education. She impacted thousands of lives. Sadly, the recent events in Afghanistan broke her heart. In late August, Gala passed away of heart attack, and I say heartbreak, at her home in England. But her legacy lives on. Her son Muhammad, who attended her preschool, is now employment case manager at ReWA. Every day he connects women and men in South King County to educational and employment opportunities, just like his mother. Once again, the US is accepting refugees after being effectively closed off for several years. As we speak tonight, the resettlement agencies are preparing to welcome over 1,000 Afghans to the Puget Sound. While most are refugees or have a special immigrant status because they work with the US military, there's another group I want to tell you about. In immigration policy, they're called humanitarian police. They're civil society leaders, human rights activists, and of course, teachers. The majority of them are women like Gala. Despite the crisis, it can take months to apply for the humanitarian police status. As we speak, these people are hiding in their homes under direct threat from the Afghan regime, from the Taliban regime. This is where ReWA steps in. Our programs aim to help refugees and immigrants, including those with humanitarian police status, with resources after their 1 to 3 months of federal support fund ends. As you may know, ReWA's programs are funded by government contracts and grants, but we rely on the funds raised at the annual gala to fill the gaps and provide emergency assistance when other funds are not available. Your generosity today will have a direct impact on giving these new arrivals a safe haven, a place to catch their breath, heal, and look to the future. Gulale's legacy, valuing education to empower the next generation, is what ReWA is about. Your contribution today are what brings ReWA's mission to life. Thank you for your support.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ashetu. And I see that there is so much applause happening for you in the chat. And I want to encourage everyone, fill up the chat with butterflies one more time for ReWA, for all of your incredible generosity this evening. Your generosity means so much to refugees. It means emergency shelter. It means first and last month's rent. It means a dedicated case manager to help with ESL signups and getting a driver's license. It means 3 months of transportation, which means 3 months of independence, of agency, or 6 months of counseling for someone with PTSD, or learning a new job and earning a living wage in a country that doesn't recognize medical or law licenses from other countries. It means strengthening our community. And you are all doing that, and we are so, so grateful. We are gonna conclude this formal part of our evening together. Of course, you can make a donation at any time. The links are everywhere. And if you know anyone that wasn't able to be with us here to celebrate ReWA and to make a contribution, send them the link, and you can. They will be able to make a contribution on our website at any time. As we end this part of our evening, we are going to move back to our virtual mix and mingle space, and we're going to keep it open for the next 30 minutes. So please stay, enjoy each other's company, move around, meet new people, network, share stories, share excitement. We are so, so grateful for all of your generosity, for your attendance. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and we will see you next year at the ReWA Gala. Thank you. Good night.